I never thought silence could hurt more than shouting. For 10 years, I believed I had the perfect life. Not rich, not famous, just peaceful. A small house, a stable job, a wife I trusted, and a best friend I considered family. I used to thank God for that kind of life because in today's world, loyalty feels rare. My wife, Sarah, always told people I was too calm. She laughed about it in front of guests. Nothing bothers him, she would say. And honestly, she was right. I wasn't the jealous type. I wasn't controlling. If she wanted to go out with friends, I never stopped her. If she stayed late at work, I trusted her. I believed love without trust becomes a prison. And my best friend, Daniel? That man had been beside me since college. We built dreams together, survived failures together, even stood beside each other at weddings and funerals. I trusted him so much that I once gave him a spare key to my house. That's the funny thing about betrayal. It never enters through strangers. It walks in wearing the face of someone you love. The night everything changed started normally. Sarah said she was going to dinner with coworkers. Daniel texted me saying he had a late business meeting. I stayed home alone with coffee and an old basketball game playing quietly in the background. Around midnight, Sarah called. "Hey babe, my laptop battery died earlier. Can you email me the presentation from my desktop folder? I need it tomorrow morning." "Sure," I said. Sybil were normal. Nothing suspicious. I walked into our bedroom, opened her laptop, and entered the password I'd known for years. The presentation folder was on the desktop exactly where she said it would be. But before I clicked it, a notification appeared in the corner of the screen. A video file had just finished downloading. The title looked random. At first, I ignored it. Then another notification popped up: Daniel, delete this after watching. My stomach tightened. Not because I suspected something, because suddenly, I didn't want to know. You ever feel that moment where your heart warns you before your brain understands? That was me. I stared at the screen for almost 30 seconds. Then I clicked. The video opened. And my entire life ended without making a sound. It wasn't blurry. It wasn't confusing. It was my wife. And it was Daniel. Laughing close together. Comfortable in ways people only become after crossing lines too many times. The video wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was how normal they looked. No guilt, no fear, no hesitation. Like I was the only person too blind to notice what had been happening right in front of me. I closed the laptop immediately. Not dramatically, not angrily, quietly. Then I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall. People think betrayal creates instant rage. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it creates silence, so heavy you can hear your own heartbeat. I replayed every memory in my head, every dinner, every joke, every moment Daniel called Sarah sis, every time she accused me of being emotionally distant, every time I ignored small signs because trust felt easier than suspicion. I wanted to scream. I wanted answers, but deep down, I already knew something important. If someone can betray you while smiling in your face every day, confrontation changes nothing. The truth was already clear, so I made a decision that night. I would not beg, I would not fight, and I would not compete for loyalty that should been given freely. I picked up my phone and opened my banking app. Over the next hour, I separated every shared account legally connected to me. I copied important files. I changed passwords. I transferred my personal savings. Then I called my older brother. "Can I stay with you for a while?" There was silence. "Something happened?" he asked. "Yeah," I replied softly. I finally saw the truth. At 2:17 a.m., Sarah walked through the front door. I heard her heels, heard her humming, heard her moving casually around the kitchen like nothing in the world had changed. I stayed in the bedroom pretending to sleep. A few minutes later, she crawled beside me. "Did you send the presentation?" she whispered. "Yeah," I answered. "Thank you, babe." Then she kissed my shoulder. And I nearly broke because fake love hurts more than hate. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I just stared into darkness, thinking about how quickly trust can become poison. By morning, my decision was final. I wasn't going to expose them. I wasn't going to argue. I was simply going to disappear from the version of life they used me to build. The next morning, I made breakfast, eggs, toast, coffee. Exactly like every other Saturday, Sarah walked into the kitchen smiling while scrolling through her phone. "Wow," she laughed. "Who are you, and what did you do with my husband?" I smiled back, calm, controlled. And somehow that scared even me, because when your heart finally breaks completely, peace becomes dangerous. "Big plans today?" I asked. "Just shopping with Emma later," she said. Another lie, the crazy part? I noticed how effortless lying had become for her. No nervousness, no hesitation. That means this wasn't new, this was practice. After breakfast, she kissed my cheek and left, the second her car disappeared. I started packing, not everything. Only what belonged to me emotionally, clothes, documents, old photographs of my parents, my grandfather's watch, the coffee mug Sarah once bought me that now felt meaningless. Funny how objects lose emotional value the moment trust dies. I rented a small apartment across town that same afternoon. Nothing fancy, just clean, quietipio, exactly how I felt inside. Then came the hardest part, calling Daniel. He answered instantly. "My brother!" he shouted happily. "What's up, brother?" That word nearly made me laugh. "Just checking in," I said calmly. We talked for 4 minutes, 4 normal minutes. He joked, asked about work, pretended everything was fine, and during that entire conversation, I realized something terrifying. Some people can destroy you while looking perfectly relaxed. That's when I stopped seeing them as mistakes. They became choices. Intentional choices. By evening, my apartment was ready. I stood in the empty living room, listening to silence echo through the walls. And honestly, it hurt, not because I missed Sarah, because I missed the person I thought she was. "There's a difference." At 8 p.m., she called. "Hey babe, Emma invited me to dinner too. Don't wait up." I closed my eyes, still lying, still acting, still pretending I was stupid. "That's fine," I replied. "You okay?" she asked. Never been calmer. And for the first time in years, I meant it. That night, I returned to the house one last time while she was gone. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter beside a handwritten note. Not an angry note. Not revenge, just truth. It said, "I saw the video. You never needed to confess because your actions already did. I won't fight for people who secretly laugh at my trust. I hope losing me was worth finding each other." That was it. No insults, no threats, no drama. Then I walked out and strangely, I felt lighter. Around midnight, my phone exploded. 32 missed calls. Messages from Sarah, messed from Daniel, paragraph after paragraph. "It's not what you think. We were going to tell you. You misunderstood. You're overreacting." Amazing. People can betray you completely, then accuse you of reacting incorrectly to the betrayal. I ignored everything. The next morning, Sarah showed up at my brother's house crying. "I made a mistake," she shouted. "You're throwing away 10 years over one mistake." I looked at her quietly. "One mistake?" I asked. "You don't accidentally create secret videos. You don't accidentally lie repeatedly. You don't accidentally betray someone for months." She started crying harder. And for a second, seeing her cry almost weakened me, because love doesn't disappear instantly, even after betrayal. That's what makes heartbreak dangerous. Your memories fight against your self-respect. Then she said something I'll never forget. "You were emotionally unavailable." There it was. The excuse, the justification, the attempt to blame the wounded person for the wound. I nodded slowly. "Maybe I wasn't perfect," I said, "but imperfect love never justifies deliberate betrayal." She had no answer because there wasn't one. A week later, I learned Daniel had also been lying to another woman he was dating. Suddenly, their perfect fantasy relationship became messy. Arguments started. Trust issues exploded. and the same dishonesty they used against others began poisoning each other. That's the thing about relationships built on betrayal. Eventually, both people start wondering, if they lied with me, when will they lie to me? 3 months passed, then 6, then almost a year, and slowly, life became quieter, not happier immediately. Healing isn't fast. People online love, pretending heartbreak, turns you into a stronger person overnight. It doesn't. Some mornings I still woke up angry. Some nights I replayed memories I wished I could erase. But little by little, something changed. I stopped asking why. That's when healing truly begins, because closure rarely comes from other people. It comes from accepting that some humans simply lack the loyalty you would have given them freely. I started focusing on myself again. I worked out, started reading more, traveled alone for the first time in years. I even learned how peaceful life becomes when you stop forcing broken relationships to survive. One evening, I ran into an old mutual friend at a cafe. After awkward small talk, he finally sighed. "You heard about Sarah and Daniel?" I shook my head. "They're done," he said. "Apparently their relationship collapsed within months. Constant suspicion, constant arguments, phones being checked, accusations, paranoia, no trust." I almost smiled, not because I wanted revenge, because life already teaches lessons without our help. You don't need to destroy people who betray you. Sometimes the consequences are built directly into their choices. A few days later, Sarah emailed me. Not called, emailed. Maybe because written words feel safer when you know your voice no longer holds emotional power. The message was long, full of regret. She said losing me made her realize how rare genuine loyalty actually was. She admitted Daniel wasn't the man she imagined. And at the end, she wrote, "You were the safest person I ever had." That line stayed in my mind for hours. Because people often realize your value only after replacing peace with chaos. But by then, it's late. I never replied, not out of cruelty. Out of closure. Some chapters don't need another conversation. They just need an ending. Today, when people ask why I stayed silent after discovering everything, I tell them this. Silence isn't weakness. Sometimes silence is dignity. Sometimes walking away peacefully hurts louder than screaming ever could. I didn't leave because I stopped loving her. I left because eventually you must love yourself enough to stop accepting disrespect disguised as mistakes. And if there's one lesson this experience taught me, it's this. The people who betray your trust often think they're getting away with something. What they don't realize is they usually lose the most loyal person they'll ever meet. As for me, I no longer chase explanations. I no longer fear being alone. And I no longer confuse loyalty with weakness, because real strength isn't found in revenge. It's found in having the courage to walk away from people who gamble with your peace. Sometimes the strongest thing a person can say isn't shouted during an argument. Sometimes it's spoken quietly while closing the door for the last time. And that night, when I walked away without screaming, without begging, without destroying anyone, that was the first moment in years I truly understood my worth.